Okay, so we are live. All right, so welcome to everyone. Welcome. Welcome, guys, everyone joining on Facebook, everyone joining on YouTube, and our friends coming over from Instagram. Welcome to this live. Tiffany, tell them hello.
Say that one more time, a little louder.
No, I just want you to tell them hello.
Oh, hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Tiffany McBean, and I'm so happy to be here and to meet you all on Instagram, Facebook, and all of Sandy's other platforms. Welcome, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, guys, so today we are talking about overcoming the fears of writing and publishing your first book. So, what is the purpose of this live? Why did I want to do it, and why is Tiffany here? So, I remember last year when I was going through the process of writing my first book, Journey into the Unknown. The first thing that I did was that I was reaching out to authors wherever I could find them in my network, on Facebook, on Instagram, reaching out to other authors to ask, what was the process like for you? It was my first time writing, and I felt so much anxiety and fears too. And I just wanted somebody to tell me what it was like for them. What was your journey like? What were your fears and how did you overcome them? And I had some persons who were very, very helpful. And so one of the things after I had gone through the process, one of the things that I said to myself that was that the same thing that I wanted last year is the same thing that I want to do for others. And interestingly, every single time I post something online talking about writing and publishing, there are so many persons who message me to say, Sandy, I have this idea. I want to write and share my story, but I am afraid I don't know where to start. I have written something, but I do not know how it sounds. Or there are the fears. If I write this book, who will support the book? And so that is the purpose of this video, to share our testimonies of what our process has been like. And so I have invited Tiffany McBean. She is the author of It's a New Season, How to Handle Life's Changes. And I just want to talk to her about what her process has been like. So thank you for joining today, Tiffany.
It is such a pleasure to be here. And Sandy, it was really awesome of you to go ahead of the game and provide something like this for those who want to write. Because, as we were going through, we were feeling through in the dark, groping around, wondering what's next and what do I do after this and so on. And you were pretty proactive from your book to find out who you could ask, authors in your circle, who you could ask, what is this process like? For me, it was very opposite from yours. So for those of you who are watching and you have the dream of writing a book, everybody's process will be different. So I'm listening to Sandy talk about what it was like for her, and mine was completely different because I came into 2020 knowing that I was going to write something. It was time for me to start writing because I'm in the process of my doctoral journey where I have to write. So I figured, what am I going to write about would be my biggest thing. I know I'd have to write a book chapter or a journal of some sort. And I never wandered around asking, what the process would be like. I started thinking about my why. So you're going to also be wondering, why am I writing? That's a question you're asking yourself. What is the purpose of me writing? And so I started there, and then the COVID pandemic came in 2020 and my plans went way out of my head. When you are planning to do something, expect that there might be opposition. Expect that there might be opposition. In my case, it was COVID-19, and I completely forgot what was happening, and I went into self-preservation mode. I was fearful for my family. I was fearful for myself, my parents who are aging, and I was afraid. And just to make a really long story short, I had to learn to deal with that fear. And it's very good that Sandy has created this platform. Hi, Jody, nice to see you. Created this platform for those who are planning on doing something and experiencing fear. So I had to bolster my courage. I had to decide I cannot live in this fear. Fear will cripple you and paralyze your plans, and then you won't move forward. So I had to deal with that. And that's how the idea of how to handle life's changes came about. We're in a brand new season, and I found it hard to center myself in this time, in this season. And so when I recognized that I had to strengthen my resolve, I had to decide I'm not going to go under. This is not going to take me out. My family's going to be safe. Then I had to work through the processes of strengthening myself. So it's the same with you. And so in my process, it started with finding my center, finding my strength, reminding myself that it's going to be okay. This is not going to take me out. So as you're going through and figuring out your book and what you're going to write, that's a great place to start.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. So you mentioned centering yourself. So Tiffany, I have read your book, and what I want to know is, how did you decide, okay, this is what I want to write about? This is my story. How did you decide on your story?
Well, it's pretty interesting. Thank you for asking that question. The thing is, when I wanted to start writing, it was going to be about something in education. I am an educator, and I also help schools prepare their teachers to be effective. So I thought that was what I was going to write about. But what happened was, when COVID-19 hit, I felt as if I was faltering in my own profession. How is it being a leader and having to lead and not being strong on your own 2 feet in order to lead? When you're at the forefront, you have to be strong. So I had to, my faith is very important to me, and I leaned on God. And I know it might sound a little like a cliche, but for people of faith, you know exactly what I'm talking about when you have no other way to go. You're between a rock and a hard place. There's no other place to turn, and we turn to God. So I turned to Him and I asked Him for strength and the things that allowed me to put one foot before the other. The things that allowed me to show up for my students and for the schools that need me in the summer. The things that allowed me to be strong for my children and my husband and our church. Those are the things that I leaned on. And it's in recognizing the strategies and the tools, the way to center your mind and how to make that shift when things happen and having to pivot. Those are the things that I wrote about. And when I saw how I was strengthened by those tools, I thought to myself, this is what I'm going to write about, because I'm sure that I'm not the only person in this. There are other people struggling. And so that's why I came up with that book.
Absolutely. And you are very right, Tiffany, because even John sent us a comment. He says, good job. The thought came to my mind today, but I don't know how to start. And John, thank you so much for sharing that, because I was there last year. I remember I was in Tokyo. Well, I am in Tokyo, but I was stepping out of a train. And as soon as I stepped out of the train, a thought came to me, Sandy, you should write a book. So there are these promptings that come to us. There are many authors out there. Oh my God, I have so many books. Look, I have so many books. So many persons have written their stories. And so the question is, why should I write one more? And how will my book stand out from all the others that exist? Who will buy another book when, I mean, the market is so saturated? But there you are going through your own journey, and a thought, just like John said, a thought is coming to you that there is something that you have been through. There is something that you have learned, and you need to put it into a story to share with others. So just like you, John, the thought came to me, the thought came to Tiffany, the thought came to so many other authors. And even though they're not just John, but there are other persons who have said, I have this idea, but you don't know where to start. Tiffany, how do they begin?
That's a really good question. Thank you so much, John. It starts with you recognizing that other people need that information. They need it. Just as Sandy did Journey to the Unknown. She was in that place where the space in front of her was unknown. For me, dealing with sudden change and the fear that came with that, recognizing that other people have that same problem too. You're not alone on an island trying to walk your way through, meander your way through life. Other people are meandering too. So starting at that place, recognizing that you're not alone in this, other people need to know how you got over. So as you're crafting your story, we're trying not to tell everyone your life story, your birth and high school and your first year in college. It's not that. It is identifying the need. What do people need? And then packaging that, putting that in a framework, which is what we call a story. So it's not a narrative, but putting it in a framework that would benefit others. So there are people who need to hear your story because they will benefit from it as well. People are reading, people are writing, and it's getting to that place now where you're thinking, how am I going to move to my next level? How am I going to move in my next arena? Because we keep growing from strength to strength in the era that you're going. And other people, as Natasha Wright is saying, are depending on the framework of excellence, that framework that causes you to propel from one level to the next. And I think that is what they're talking about when they say the story. How did you get where you are going? What was the struggle that you had? Start with that and how you crossed over. And that's what you'll put in your book.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Tiffany, now I'm looking at your table of contents and I see how you have set out your chapters. You have a change has come, embrace it. You have how to adjust to change. When change is hard, what animal are you? There is a chapter called push. There is one called prepare, ready, set, go. And there is a journal reflection.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How the story is there, right? So going back to John again, John says, yes, something he has been through, his life history. So he has all these different experiences. But how do you set it out into different chapters? How do you decide, okay, what comes first and then what do I put after that? How do you decide?
Establishing the problem comes first. And that's what's going to get your readers' attention because they are having that problem too. So a change has come. We all see the change. In this time period that we're in, it's the COVID-19 pandemic. But you have your own change too. There are women who are now mothers. There are wives who are now divorcees. There are students that are finished with college and now looking for a job. Everyone experiences change. And our natural knee-jerk reaction is to repel or to push back, not wanting the change, especially when it's hard. There's some good changes like relocating and a new job and an extension on your family. But whatever the change is, it comes with some kind of struggle. So as you're thinking about packaging or creating your framework, what Sandy's asking, how do we create the chapters? It's starting from ground zero. What is the problem? In my case, it was the change. What are we going to do with this change? We have to embrace it. The idea is if we push against it and press against the wind, we're only hurting ourselves. Change is inevitable. It's going to come, whether you want it or not. So the idea is to embrace it. Hello, Auntie Sharon, how are you doing? Thank you for joining. So we're talking about how to overcome that fear and how to decide, okay, I am going to write this book. And the question that John just asked was, how do I create the framework or the chapters, start from ground zero, and then build on there. There's a problem. What are we going to do with it? Then how did you handle the problem, the steps or the strategies that are in there? And the situation doesn't exist in isolation. There are other components around it, your family, your faith, individuals that you come in contact with. So what are the other things? And as you think about your own journey in life, starting from how you handled the problem originally to how you crossed over and now propelling yourself into your next level of excellence.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tiffany. I mean, this topic is I feel so passionate about it. Like I feel so very passionate about it.
Organize your chapters.
How did I organize my chapters? So if you take a look at my chapters, I start with the dilemma. So
see, that's the problem, right? Yes,
yeah.
I'm telling you, start with that problem and lead into your content because they have that problem too. Go ahead, honey.
Right. So Natasha is right. She says the problem leads people to your content. And I wasn't even thinking about that, in terms of the structure, but I started with the dilemma. That's chapter 1 for me. And I shared an issue that I was having in my life at that time. The dilemma that I was feeling between, I was at this crossroads in my life, like, okay, do I stay in Jamaica, stay at my job, pursue a particular course of study, which was to study law, or do I move in another direction and go where I sense God was leading me to, and that is Japan. And going in that direction would mean that I would have to withdraw from school. I would have to resign from my job. I would have to give up my home. I would have to give up my car. And I was struggling. And so I started my book with that. And then as I developed the story, I set out, okay, how was that resolved? So I spoke about purpose, and I spoke about how God spoke to me through dreams. And then I spoke about how I resolved it, how I had to make some big decisions. And then I finally got to a place of peace. And then moving from there, everything that I learned and what I wanted to say to others after I had gone through the issue, after I resolved it, after I struggled. So that is how I made my way through my story. Mm-hmm. So what I was thinking about, Tiffany, what I was thinking about is that last year, during the process of writing, or when I first thought about writing the book, I went to lunch with a friend of mine. And while we were there at lunch, she said to me, Sandy, I think there's this book that you need to read. And she told me there's this lady and she was an attorney and she left her job to pursue her career as a writer. And she says her story sounds so similar to yours. I think you should read it. And I went and I ordered that book. And when I read the book, it's this book, This Time I Dance, Creating the Work You Love by Tama Keeves. And let me tell you, this is one of the books that strengthened my resolve to write my own story. Because in her book, she set out also a problem that she had. She was also at a crossroads in her life. And the thing is that I needed Tama's story to help me get started. And so I think to myself, oh my God, what if this wasn't given to me? And this is really her testimony. And it showed me how important testimonies are. And so earlier, I just want to go back to it where we spoke about the fact that other people need your story. I have written my book. And I have a friend in Japan who says, oh, Sandy, I had a dream last night, and normally I don't pay attention to my dreams, but I really think that this is God talking to me. And I would not have paid attention had you not written your story. And I just think to myself, imagine how many persons will miss out if you don't share that thing that God has put on your heart. And with this video, I am not targeting those persons who want to write something so that they can have the title of, oh, I'm an author for the social media fluff. I'm not talking to those people. I am talking specifically, we are addressing specifically those people who God has put a burden on their heart to share their story.
Yes. There's a bigger picture, there's a bigger purpose. And we have to find what that purpose is. Because as I said, at the end of 2019, I knew I was going to write a book, but it was going to be on education. And God just made it into something else. I wrote about things that people are struggling with right now and things that I was struggling with. So as you are thinking about, thank you very much, Diane, it's true. We are needing to make an impact. You are needing to make an impact. So that thing that God has put in your heart, it's not just there by happenstance. It's there because there is a purpose and a need for it. So push the fear back. Push the fear back. Strengthen your resolve. Yes, fears will come. Be prepared for that. In my book, I talked about when changes come, what animal are you? Are you going to hide in the dark? Or are you going to roar like a lion? You need to come out of that shell. And yes, we're doing it afraid. Some people are doing it without fear because they were able to stand and put fear under their feet. And there are others that are doing it afraid. And doing it afraid means you have faith in something that's bigger than you. And he will not disappoint. He will not be put to shame. When we hope in God, we will not be put to shame.
It's important that you said that. Why am I saying that it's important that you said that? Because Sharon Peart Ricketts just asked a very important question. She said, what do you do if your content will help others, but maybe too revealing for others involved?
Ooh. I felt that one. I felt it.
Hey,
let me tell you, sometimes because we don't live in isolation, our story is impacted by others. It is because of something that others have done that we come up with the story anyway. There's a chapter in my book called The Role of Friendships. The role of friendships. We have these framework of things that have happened to us. And we want to be mindful not to put those people out there in our book, because our book is to help and not hinder. So you always want to think, when you get to that part in your book where you're needing to clarify things for your audience so that they can connect and know what to do. So your story is not putting your business out there. Your story is not putting someone else's business out there. Your story is what is the truth in it? What is the message in it? So isolate the message. Isolate the message rather than talking about the people. So, and Diane says, handle it with sensitivity, share enough to make an impact without injuring or hindering others. The story is in there. The core gem is what you're needing to get, and focus on that. Package the story so that it will connect with those that are struggling in that same area, and make sure not to put other people's issues in the book as well.
Okay. Very powerful. I thought someone reached out to me yesterday, right? An aspiring author.
Okay.
She wants to write her story. And her story is about abuse that she experienced in her family as a child. So she was abused, sexually abused by a close family member, and she has had to heal through that. And so she has said, Sandy, I need to write my stories, and she wants to help others. So I hear you, and I hear handle it with sensitivity. But if you're discussing things like something as sensitive as that, it will not be the same for everyone. Because if you say something like, okay, a close family member did this to me, then it can bring shame to your family. Like, okay, how will your mother feel? How will your siblings feel? You know, I think of Joyce Myers. She wrote about her story about being sexually abused by her dad. How do you navigate those things if you are being prompted to share what has happened to you in an effort to help others?
That's a very good question. You have to be grounded in your faith in yourself, your faith in God, and your faith in those that are around you. Because in going forward, you have to tell that story. You have to get it out in order to help others. And when you look at that big picture, it's something that you're going to have to say. Now, if you know that you are going to tell this story, be prepared. Be prepared for that kind of backlash from people who know you closely. So be resolved that you are ready for that. I've experienced things in my life that I don't want to share, and so I won't. But at a time when I feel ready, I might never be ready. But if you are ready, then go for it. The thing is, God, you're not going to be getting this passion and this push to do something if it wasn't time. What you're going to have to do is make sure that you are strong, that you are ready to get it out there, because others who know you will know who it is that you're talking about. As Sandy mentioned with Joyce Myers, she said, it was my dad. So for her family members that know them closely, then she would have to be strong enough. She knows she's ready for this. So just as you are about to tell your story, a story of abuse, a story of hurt, a story that involves other people, you know that you need to be ready. You have to be strong in yourself, knowing it is time, and then move forward.
Absolutely. Knowing when it is time and knowing when to move forward. I just want to take the time to give a special hello to my YouTube family. I see GW13 Empire here. He's a young educator in Jamaica, just completed the Teachers College in Jamaica. So congratulations to him. And I also see Fitz and Rika. I see a big chef in Jamaica. So I just want to say welcome to them as well, and that I'm grateful for their support. Tiffany, we touched on one fear, the fear of sharing your story with the whole world, being vulnerable, you know, losing that sense of privacy. Like, so many people are going to read what has happened to you. You know, you're just putting it all out there, and that is one fear. Let's touch on some other fears that might come when you are setting out to write something like a book. We're being vulnerable and transparent now.
Yes, being afraid that you won't say it right, being afraid that your message isn't clear, being afraid that nobody will buy your book, being afraid that you're making the wrong moves and this is not where you need to be, it's not what you need to do, it's for other people, it's not for you. There's so many fears that creep in. Fears as you're writing, what's next? Should I just pack this all in? Plus, it takes time to write. I've seen, and Sandy and I were talking about this too, where they say write your book in 5 days, or write. It takes time. It doesn't take 5 days. It's way more than that. And so you have ample opportunities for fear to creep in. Fear of being ashamed. Fear of the content being seen as revolting, or someone just wanting to get into your business, especially if you're talking about your own story of abuse. You know, with my story, it wasn't anything that would bring disrepute to anyone. It was just a struggle that I had with dealing with change. So fears will come from so many places, and you have to attack each one. it's so grateful that all the fears don't come at one time. You know, you isolate the components and take one step before the other. The first fear could be nobody will read this book. Nobody wants this book. There's no platform. And then you look at it and said, that's a lie. That is not true. There is a platform because I experienced it. And I'm not an island. This is not peculiar to me. It's also happening to other people. That one person needs it. And so as you're writing your book, you're thinking, I'm writing for one person. I'm writing for that person who's struggling with change. Another fear that might come up is, now what? What happens next? Not knowing the entire journey is debilitating. Like, okay, should I even start when I don't know the next step? Well, for me, in Sandy's case, she asked a lot of questions and armed herself with that knowledge. And I didn't go in with any knowledge. I just knew I was going to write. And then the minute something was needed, it manifested. I swear. When a book cover was needed, a book cover came. When a publisher was needed, a publisher came. When an editor was needed. So I didn't see the entire journey. Neither did I know what the entire journey entailed. But because of faith, you just keep walking, just taking one step before the other. Ella B says, push the fear back. Yes, it's like when those fears come, face it and call it out. This is not true. There are people who will need this book. Another fear, you won't have a publisher. Not true. So many publishers are there and you can self-publish. Another fear, what I'm writing is not going to make sense. I can't write it well. Lies. Not true. You can speak and organize your thoughts, write it out, and even if it's not clear, there are editors for that. So for every fear that you face, call it out. Not true. Call it out. Not true. And then keep moving one foot before the other until your entire book manifests. Like with Journey to the Unknown, that manifested. And it's a new season also here. Now we're waiting for your book.
Absolutely. The thought that just came to me, and I want to put this question to our aspiring authors. If you are to write a book for just one person, is it worth writing? And you have to ask yourself that question. Natasha Wright said, no fluff. And I remember Natasha said something, I think she has said it repeatedly, that when she is doing her conferences, especially in the beginning, if only one person showed up, she would still do it. And I have been to her conferences in the early days, and sometimes, there would be few people there, but they would still give, Natasha and her husband, her team would still give 100%. And so my question to my aspiring authors, if only one person buys the book, would it be worth it? If one person needs to hear your story so that they don't commit suicide, so that they can pursue their dreams, so that they can overcome an issue that you had and overcame, would it be worth it?
Yeah.
And I ask that question because a lot of times we get caught up in the fluff. And it feels good, yes, when a lot of people buy your book all over the world and they post it on social media. You get the reviews on Amazon. You become a bestseller in the first 5 days and stuff. And I think everyone aspires to that. You want to experience that. But certainly that journey is not for everyone. It will not be for everyone. And so the question is, if that is not your journey, would it still be worth it? Are you willing to invest in this story that has been put into your spirit? And so that's a very important question to answer when you are thinking about writing your story. So I want everyone to think about that. What do you have to say about that, Tiffany?
Definitely. If it meets the need of one single person, you've done very well. I can tell you, when one person bought one book and then reached out on my website and bought two more because she wanted to send it to her friend and her pastor. When one person read that book and sent a text, Pastor Tiff, thank you so much, I needed to hear this. When one person is reached, that one person ministers to someone else. Because as we are strengthened in the inner man, as our spirit is strengthened, we project ourselves in a much different way to the world. So that one story with that one person that is going to be reached, that one person is going to minister to others. So your book, when you step out to do it, meeting one person, that one person reaches others.
Absolutely, Tiffany. Vas, we have one person here, Vedi. She says, if I write about a time I had suicidal thoughts and I have kids, could my kid's father use it against me in the future? I'm thinking I just had this thought, I need to do a video with an attorney, several attorneys.
Yeah, I was about to mention that.
Yeah, because my one semester at doing my LLB will not suffice for that question. But even so, like, I think there are legal implications here. So I think it's important for persons to know that if you're thinking about like custodial battles, if you're getting a divorce, and that could be used against you to say, okay, this person is mentally unstable, she's not fit to be a mother, then you have to consult an attorney. One of my friends, she's an attorney. When I was writing my book, she said to me, Sandy, change names. You don't want to say, oh, Derek, and everybody knows that Derek is Derek. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You change names, you consult an attorney, you be wise. So as much as you want to share your story, know that there can be implications as well. So I have thought about those things. So I think definitely consult with an attorney for some of these things. Right?
That's good advice. Yes.
And these questions are coming. If your book brings up ethical, moral, and legal issues, we want to be careful. Even things like your psychological, mental health profile. So, I mean, Diana is tapping into that as well. She's saying, consult an attorney where you need to just cover yourself. And she says, thank you. You are most welcome. All right. So did you experience any of those things, Tiffany?
I did not. My story is very, it's rudimentary with handling the seasons of life. It's about getting to that place where you recognize that things are changing, even changing with your body, growing older and handling the changes in our body. It's about not being able to face difficult things easily. It's also about trying to maintain the stability that you have now and not knowing what to do when it's shaken. So I didn't face any of those moral or legal issues because the story of the book is how to move past difficult changes. So everyone that faces a kind of upheaval in their lives, those people would benefit from this kind of book, and I didn't have that kind of moral or ethical issue to deal with.
Okay, thank you so much. So guys, just the meat of the matter, we're talking about the fears. Diana Sharp says, faith is everything. When you're setting out to do something important, that is when my friend Jody, she calls them the duppies. All demons in hell will just rise up. Conflicts left, right, and center. You could be fine all along, and the second you decide to do this thing that has been put in your heart, that is when all the thoughts of condemnation will come. You're not good enough. It sounds stupid. No one is going to buy this book. No one is going to support you. I mean, your mind will just be flooded with so many thoughts, so many feelings.
Correct. And
So,
and that's why I ended the book with the role of faith. Faith plays a key role in our lives. The things that we do it by faith. We don't really know how it's going to end up. We go by faith. And as my friend Sandy said, the duppies just rear up because the purpose is so big and the plan is so vast, and it's going to meet the needs of so many that there will be so many attacks that will come against you to prevent you from getting the story out. It prevents you from getting the information to the people who needs the help the most. But look at what's happening in our world right now. Everyone needs everyone else. And so we will not die with this purpose on the inside of us. It has to come out. And what you're going to do is face those fears and face those demons and know that it's just a distraction. We find ways to center ourselves. We find ways to ground ourselves. We find ways to hold on to our faith and put our plans before the Lord. You see, we have, Les Brown, too many of us are not living our dreams because we're living our fears. We do not want to live our fears. We recognize that they're there, but we don't put any onus on it. We put all our attention on the purpose. What is the plan? So keep pushing towards that thing, putting the fears aside, and our faith anchors us. Your faith in yourself. Have faith that you can do this. And have faith in God. Have faith knowing that He has brought you to this mountain and you're going to cross over it. He has brought you to this Jordan and you put your feet in it and the water is back up, step by step. Here a little, there a little, until your story is told.
absolutely, absolutely, Tiffany. About 2 days ago, I was on the road close to the grocery store, and I was just looking around, just up and down the street. And I was thinking to myself, Sandy, all of this is temporary. And I was thinking about my journey in Japan. I just thought to myself, Sandy, all of this is temporary. You will not always be in your apartment. You will not always work at this school. You will not always be in this place. And I was thinking about my journey. And sometimes, I don't want to sound too morbid, but sometimes I really think about my life's journey, that it is temporary, that I am going through my life's, my soul's journey. And there will come a time when I will make a transition. And this thought just came to me that everything that I need to do, I need to get it done.
Yeah.
And I can testify to the fears, guys. It's not that I don't have them. So if you're on and you're listening and there's something that you feel led to do, but all these fears are before you, we have them too. I have them too. But what are we going to do? We have to, because we know that time is so limited and because we will not be here forever. Whatever it is that we have been sent here to do, if we believe that we are sent, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is that we're here to do, we have to ensure that we manifest our purpose, that we live out our dreams, and that we make a mark.
Yes. Yes.
Being brave isn't the absence of fear. Being brave is having that fear, but finding a way through it.
Yes, that speaks to me. That speaks to me so much because let me tell you, this fear thing is like a monster. It looms its ugly head when you least expect it. When you think, okay, I'm good, I'm ready to go, and then fear blocks you. But can you still take that step even with the feeling of fear? There's a little portion in the book where I talked about acknowledging the feeling. We can't sweep it under the carpet. We have to know it's there, it's real, and now what? The
Yes.
fear is there. But are you going to just, as Natasha said, let the book die in you? When Sandy was just talking about, and it's not morbid at all, I think we all think about the end. We're not here forever. And the reason is, when you look at it, and this really struck me in 2020, every day there were new deaths, hundreds and thousands of deaths. So death stared us in the face. You know, even yesterday I was at a viewing for a friend's husband. You know, it's hard. You're not expecting this, but it's going to happen. And your story will outlast you. The book will be here when I'm gone.
Yes.
You know, my children will see it. My children's children will see it. My favorite writer, Emily Bronte, she didn't want anybody to see her stories. She wrote little letters and hid them away. And it's on her passing that we have these beautiful stories. The story lives on. So it's immortal. You have to get that out there. So do it afraid. And I say that all the time, do it afraid. Wake up and purpose in your heart. This is what I'm going to do today. Get your little to-do list out. Organize it in a beautiful package. Write it out. Today I will, and write it, and then do it. Check it off. I did that. I did it afraid. Can I tell you, even before I came on here, I called Sandy. I was like, oh, girl, I'm so nervous. What? And then I'm going to do it and do it afraid. Am I afraid now at this moment? No. But coming on here before everything started, yes, definitely. But we have to do it and do it afraid. My friend Natasha writes, and her husband Jamar, oh my goodness, kick you out the door. Just kick you out. There's this illustration of eagles. And the eaglet is in the nest. And they're comfortable in the nest. They're fine. And then the parents start taking out all the hair and the cotton and the cushiony things and leaving the bramble and the spokes. And now the eaglet is not comfortable anymore. The eaglet has to come out. They have to fly out. And you're going to fly or fall. You're not going to fall. You're going to fly. You're going to flap your wings and you're going to have support. Every step of the journey, God sent support. As I was saying, I didn't know the whole way. And when I met Sandy, it was just when I needed, hey, I need somebody to read this. What's going to happen now? Well, it was time for a book cover. Somebody came to me after church, how's your book going, Lady Mac? And I said, it's going okay, but I need a book cover. Let me tell you, God sends help. You're not in this fight alone. You're surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. Lots of people are here for you.
Absolutely. You will have support. You will soar. You will have support. Interestingly, sometimes the support that you need, it does not come until you get started.
Wow.
So if you're there before you actually get this book done and you're like, I don't know how to publish it. I don't have a publisher, so I'm not going to write it. Well, I don't know how to go about getting a book cover, so I am not going to write it. Why should I even bother? I don't know how to do these things. Sometimes it is as you get started that one person, just like Tiffany said, one person will come along to say, I can help you with the book cover. I can help you with a media interview. I can help you with this. I can help you with that. But it is important for you to get started. Another thought that I had that I want to share before we close. Imagine that you have an idea to write a book and you never do it. And then you get to the end of your journey when you are old and you're about to check out, and you remember, hey, I had this idea to write my story and I never did it. Imagine the source of regret that you will experience at that time. And I do not want anyone to ever experience that. It is better for you to be there on your dying bed and be able to say, I had an idea to write my book. You know what? And I did it. Wow. I did it. One person buy the book, one review, one share on social media. I did it.
You did that.
Everything that is in you, get it out. Natasha says, don't let the book die in you. Don't let it die. Don't die with that book in you. Manifest it. You can do it. You can overcome the fears. It is possible. And that is the reason for us doing this live today, is to give you this push, because I deeply sense in my spirit, and if I didn't sense it, I wouldn't even bother, that there are people who need to write and publish their story in this year, 2021. We're now at the end of February. It is possible. We're not giving you no microwave process to say, guys, publish in 2 days, publish in 30 days, or publish in 3 months. We're keeping it real. We're not there for that. But it is possible for you to get it done by August. It is possible for you to get it done by December. There are people who already have their manuscripts and they have it just sitting down because they think it is not good enough. And I really sense in my spirit that those things that you have, those stories that you have, they need to be revisited.
Yes.
They need to be released, guys.
You
So
just said push.
sorry, go ahead.
You just said push. And as a mother of two, when a woman is giving birth, it's hard. And the word that she hears the most when it's time to give birth is push. Push. You have to do something behind it. It's not going to just happen on its own. You have to push. And I don't know if Sandy would mind just indulge me a bit. It's very short. There is a poem that I added in here called Push. It's very short. Do you mind just read that last part?
Go ahead.
It says, she sits in a crowded room, yet she feels so alone. How can anyone understand? Day by day, she hopes for the best and wonders if her plans will work out perfectly. Will anyone understand? Each day brings new ideas, yet new problems. Great strides, yet great disappointments. Who will understand? She learns to go with the flow, to chart courses uniquely her own. She learns to press, to endure, to hold on, and to hope. So far, so many things seem to go awry. Can anyone understand? Things fall apart and others fall into place. Things change and others remain the same. She smiles in the storm and holds the hand of the one who understands. He knows her. She knows him. He says, I'm here. She knows he'll never leave. He says, push. She knows that word well. He says, take my hand. Out comes one wing and then another. She stands. It's the same with you. You're going to push. Things will happen, but you have support. You're not an island all by yourself. Things will fall into place. Things will fall apart, but push. You have help.
That was so powerful. Just like Sharon is saying, that poem touched me. It's on page 37 to 39 of It's a New Season, How to Handle Life's Changes. So beautiful, Tiffany. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much. All right, so we have Diana Sharp says, get paid help, get a writing coach, get a publisher, get an editor. But then Marcia says, what happens when you have no help? What's the advice for that? So I want to put those two comments together. Diana says, get paid help. If you have no one to help you, or if you think you have no one to help you, one way is that you can get paid help. You can get a writing coach, you can get a publisher, you can get someone to edit for you. My advice as well, listen, guys, sometimes when you are pursuing something that you're passionate about, like Jamaicans would say, what was it? You don't have no shame tree.
Yeah, come on. No
Yes,
shame tree. No shame tree.
meaning that the pride and any shame that you think you could feel, sometimes you just have to put that out the door. You have to reach out to people, you have to network,
Yes,
you have to ask questions. I am famous for just messaging people and be like, hi, I'm thinking about doing X and Y. How can I get it done? Can you help me?
exactly.
Reach out to other people. Also, don't underestimate your network. Do you have a friend who has excellent writing skills? Can you ask that person, would that person at least be able to give you one read through, to do a video call with you, to say, okay, I have read your story, but in the first chapter, in the third paragraph, why did you phrase it this way? How about you consider putting it another way? And you can get ideas like that. You can have three friends who read through your story with you. Those people
Yes,
are there.
yes. And research. You can
And
do research too. So if you are that one or the few who have absolutely no help, like Marshall says, like, what if it so happens that you are that one person or those few people who have zero help, no network, no one surrounding you? Let's try research. What is it that you need? Google it, look it up, take the time to scroll through. Research is tedious and time consuming, but how badly do you want it? Do you want this done? I tend to, when I'm doing research, set a timer on my phone so I don't get carried away. And sometimes I get distracted with research. Simply put a timer on 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and then go hard all the way in. Tune everything else out and look for that thing that you need. What is it that you're working on? What part of the journey are you in? And there's no help. No, you have no help. Do some research. It's right there. Sharon Parrott Ricketts says, she who has pot in fire seeks wood. Ask and widen your circle. Yes. If you have a pot on the fire, you seek wood. If you have raw meat, you seek fire. So this is what you do when you are moving forward and you're in debt. That is pretty funny. Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah, do some research and then widen your circle and ask questions. Take initiative. Thank
I
you very
thought Sharon's coming to be so funny.
much.
All right. So, Marshall says take initiative and research. Melissa Dunkley Smith says yes to network. Ask a friend. Um, someone is calling out Natasha to say Natasha knows how to get in touch, knows how to get in touch. And Natasha says, I do.
She does. She does.
You
She does. I mean, she got me connected with Michael Pink, Lady Musgrave Road. I live in Orlando, and
Mhm.
my publisher is in Jamaica. The person who formatted the book is in Jamaica. You know, the help is there. Marshall Genus Lockhart is the author of Home Learning Strategies Made Easy. Yes, and that involved a whole lot of research as well. She's a curriculum specialist. Welcome, Marshall.
Okay, and so we have several authors online, guys. Some of them, for example, Marshall, the questions that she's asking is not necessarily for her. She's a published author, but she's asking these questions because she says that, other people may be asking the same questions as well. My questions are not for me. Perhaps others may have these questions.
You.
So I just want to thank persons, for example, Marshall, Diana, Natasha, persons who have gone through the publishing process, who are here, to give comments and to help to encourage others.
Mhm.
Kitty's Family Reality TV says, how can we get your book?
So my book can be found on Amazon and also on my website. And she'll put the website in the chat, and I can put it there as well. but it's available on Amazon. It's called It's a New Season, How to Handle Life's Changes. Yes.
So Tiffany McBean, author, It's a New Season, How to Handle Life's Changes. Very powerful book. We're not even doing the live today to advertise the books, but yes, you can go ahead and get a copy. Very valuable information. So I encourage you to get your copies. Guys, beat the fears. I don't know how we got to 1 hour because this was supposed to be like 25 to 30 minutes.
I remember asking how long is it going to be?
Yes. So I'm sorry. So take initiative, do research, yes to network, ask a friend, editor and proofreaders at your service. Telma Porta says that, you know.
Do it afraid. Do not wait for the fear to go away. Do it afraid. She who has pots in fire seeks wood.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to say it in patois. I know how to say it in my native tongue. That's a beautiful English part one there.
Someone else said something. Oh, here's Selma says, man have dry peas, seek. Guys, you guys are coming out with these proverbs. Killing me. Okay, Marshall says, it gets discouraging when you feel alone. It's important to remember your way and trust the process. And this is why, for this live, for these videos, we're really directing or energy to people who really feel led to do this thing. You are not alone. That's one. Discouragement will come, but sometimes you have to do it with shaky knees.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to say to someone, I feel afraid, I have these doubts, I have these anxieties. While I was going through it, I had my friends on speed dial. My friend Jody got tired of me. I was like, Jody, should I use this or that? Should this be a capital letter? Should I start a new paragraph? She said, Sandy, don't ask me any more questions. She said, the book is fine. Because she had been through it with me like so many times. She's like, girl, stop, it's fine. And so don't allow the discouragement to stop you. You can do it. Overcome the fears. If you have any questions, how can they reach you, Tiffany?
You can reach me at my website. It is www.brighthorizonconsultations.com. And Sandy can put it in the chat. It's at the back of the book. It's on the back cover. www.brighthorizonconsultations.com. And the name of the book is It's a New Season, How to Handle Life's Changes. Kitty's Family Reality TV. The website again, brighthorizonconsultations.com. Can you both be of help when we want to start writing? I do believe that, I'll let Sandy answer that question. I do believe that she's able to work through this with you. And she has had several authors on her program. She has a YouTube channel. And so you can go back and listen to all of them that's there, and contact her as well, put the comments in the thread, and she will be able to help you when you start writing. I'm also very helpful. And so it's not, I would be willing to have a look at your manuscript if you'd like. I'm great at editing. But I think Sandy is the one who is moving forward with this. You are most welcome. You're most welcome.
Yes, guys. So listen, you can reach out to any one of us. You can reach out to Marshall. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to Tiffany. there's nothing to say, oh, go to Sandy or anyone you feel comfortable working with. If you want help, it is available. So that is fine. Tiff, I was looking for the website name, but I do not see it.
Oh, that's why it's on the back here.
Oh, it's on the back.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's why I was on the screen for so long.
Okay.
Here at the back.
All right. So, all right, just say something and let me add it real quick.
Certainly, because she knows I love to talk. Okay. So as you're writing, get started. Look at the problem or the dilemma. What is it? Create that framework or that story, because that is the problem that everybody else has. It allows them to connect with what you're saying, to identify themselves in that book as well. And your book takes them through the journey. Thank you very much. Your book takes them through the journey of elevating themselves past the problem, because we don't live in that place of fear. We don't live in that place of lack, and we don't live in that place of the pain brought on by abuse. We don't live in that place anymore. The reason you're able to write this book is because you have crossed over. You've passed through that, and so you have the tools and the strategies, all the information. Sandy, do you have an IG handle? Sandy, do you have an IG handle? You have all the tools and information for them to get to that place as well. And so you put that forward in your book a little at a time, until you've got your story out. And for every leg of the journey, being an author is a long process. It has you need a book cover. You need to be able to craft your story. You need marketing. You need a publisher. You need a book cover. There's so many other things in there. And then after the book, then what? Make sure that you are then able to support others. I remember Natasha saying this should be a course. So a lot of people need things. How are you going to get that information out to them with your book? So your book is like the starting place. Lots of groups are using this book in their book clubs or in their churches, in their cell groups. And so it is able to meet the needs of many in that way.
Absolutely. So guys, we are at the end of this live. Tiffany, I want to thank you so much for this very refreshing conversation. Thank you for sharing with me. Thank you for everyone who has joined, everyone who came in with questions, their own ideas, their own tips. I really appreciate it. I am excited about the persons who will be publishing this year. Remember, if you need any assistance, we are here as book coaches. We can help. We do not know everything because we're still learning. Whatever we're not able to assist with, we can always put you on to someone else. So if you're at that stage where you need to format the book, if I can't format the book for you, if Tiffany is unable to format the book for you, we can say, okay, we know this person who can handle the formatting. Or we can pass on the book to them to say, hey, can you format this book for this person? We're not graphic designers, but we may have access to other graphic designers. We may not be able to handle your book trailer, but we're able to go on a website like Fiverr.com, look at the different reviews, perhaps work with someone who we have worked with before to get you a book trailer. So these things can be done because we're still learning and you're still learning, but we can pull and assist each other. Right? So I want to thank you so
much. Journey. It's a beautiful journey. Go for it. As Sandy said, you don't want to reach the end of your time and saying, I wish I had done it. I regret that I didn't. No regrets. We don't live with regrets. We do what we can one step at a time, knowing that it's going to be just fine.
It will be just fine. Thank you, Kiddies Family Reality TV. Let's end with a nice little smiley face. All right. So guys, thank you so much for joining. All the best to you for this year. All the best to our aspiring authors. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. at Sandy Heron. And for Tiffany, you can reach out to her as well. Tiffany, just let them know where.
I'm on Instagram and Facebook, as well as on my website, brighthorizonsconsultations.com.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye, guys. Thank you, Tiffany.
You're most welcome. It has been my pleasure and purpose.
Okay.